don't think you know anything about Harry Styles.
Our communities.
Don't talk about it again. So y'all, I told y'all so.
Our culture.
I am a Sam Smith. I will be Sam's representative.
Our story.
It's also not a requirement for you to agree.
Our opinions. This is the Culture Report.
All right, guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Culture Report. You can see this vision in pink over here. Shay J is back with us, our race and culture contributor.
Thanks for having me again.
Of course, it's always a good time. You know, she's in her pink. She's Barbie ready.
I didn't know we were doing anything other than that. It's Barbie season.
We pinked prematurely. We were last week, but it's fine.
It's fine.
Pink any day.
It's never too early.
For a little while, I still.
Yeah. It's never too early, never too late. Pink is like, it's Barbie season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is Barbie season, so of course we have to kick off the show talking about Barbie. You know, the good and the bad. So I may not be a Barbie girl, but we're absolutely living in a Barbie world. Greta Gerwig's newest film has taken the world by storm, so contributing to one of the biggest opening weekends of all time. People have been praising the movie for its diverse casting, stellar performances, as well as the feminist-oriented messaging, but it hasn't all been well received. So critics were quick to voice their concern over what people are calling anti-man nature of the film, and calling it a man-hating woke propaganda. So many conservatives were also disappointed about the inclusion of a trans character, and are throwing out accusations of grooming. And there's also controversy from the indigenous community over a joke involving smallpox, saying that the patriarchy is to women what smallpox was to the native tribes. So definitely, I mean, I saw it. I don't recall hearing that line, but I do think it was in poor taste. I do think it was in poor taste. I feel like there was a way to make that point without saying that. Oh, Shay has a different
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that was just a breath. That was a healthy breath. I'm going to say anytime you offend people, it's poor taste, right? We can always do better in spaces like that. I just felt like the movie had so many special nuances, so much diversity, so many things that we could unpack that I don't want to talk about anything that's bad because I feel like there was so many great things. It poked fun at lots of our lives, like the things that we're living in today's society, especially being a black woman and seeing a black female president for Barbie. What?
Loved it.
You know how long it took for us to even get our own Barbie, and now our Barbie is a president. So I just think there's so many spaces that we've came so far, and this movie celebrated us. And it's okay for women to have something in Barbie world. Whoever identifies with Barbie world, I just think it was phenomenal. It was phenomenally done.
I agree with that. I don't know why the men are mad about it.
Yeah.
You guys get everything. So
Thank you.
Chill out. You guys told us growing up Barbies are for girls, so this is
Can we have this? Can we have anything?
So what did you think, Jamal? You saw it three times.
Well,
Way to put it out there.
well, first of all, yeah, okay. Well, I not me trying to make up anything.
I know.
No, I went with my friends, and they listen. I was peer pressured, but yes, I did see it 3 times.
As a man, what do you think
I
of
loved
it?
I loved it. It did feel like a little on the nose, a little preachy sometimes, but I loved it. I didn't think it was anti-man. I felt like it was just more so like anti-patriarchy, which is great. Men shouldn't rule everything. I also think towards the end they kind of realized, okay, well maybe women shouldn't run everything.
Right.
They're learning their lessons too. So I think that we just want equal, an equal playing field. So I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think the fact that so many conservative men are being bothered makes me just want to see it even more. Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg did react to the whole movie and all the controversy, and she said, it's a doll movie. Why is it making you feel uncomfortable? There's no sexual scenes in it, nothing like that will make any kid uncomfortable or have to see that.
The movie, it was like trickery with the trailer because they didn't say that there was going to be a trans character in there, and they're just trying to get the children.
But you have to do a lot of research to know that character is a trans.
I mean, even so, the trans actress, she spoke out and she was like, "Well, I'm not trans Barbie. I reject that. I'm not trans Barbie."
Yeah.
First of all, Barbies don't have genitalia. I've talked about genitalia on this show too many times.
That's your word now. Genitalia.
Last time you were here, I talked about the bears in drag having genitalia. But
and they said that too. Even they said it in the Barbie movie. Like, we don't have those things, and we're not identified with those. So I think sometimes humans put so much pressure on every single thing that is done, right? Because of their preconceived notions, because of the things that they're thinking through their head. And this was a feel-good movie. And I don't even say it's necessary for kids because it really resonated for my age who grew up with Barbie. And we really appreciated having a space. But a lot of the times we're not telling young girls it's okay to live your own dream. It's okay to have your dream house, your dream car, your dream life without it all being about a man. Our whole world is based on when you're going to get married, when you're going to have kids, when you're going to have a man. So finally, Barbie Land, here we are.
Well, I'll report back once I see it.
Yes,
Laura,
report
we
back
need to
when
see
you
it.
see it. We'll let y'all know what she thought.
Will do. And a new study by Northwestern University found that colorism is driving women of color to use harmful lightening products, skin lightening products. Colorism is a form of prejudice that favors lighter skin over darker skin. Researchers say many of the people using skin lightening products, which are primarily marketed to women, seldom understand the health risks of using the over-the-counter chemicals. These products often contain toxic ingredients and can cause permanent damage if used for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so scary that we hear all the harmful chemicals in there and it's still not deterring women from using them. It's so sad to see that. With so much pressure from society.
I was going to say, society just needs to do better, honestly. We got to stop judging people based on their skin color. I saw in the study, like, black men that are usually darker are usually known as, being known as, less educated, and light-skinned people are known to be, educated. That's what people,
Yeah. But it's so deeply ingrained. When I was talking to Jamal about this a little bit yesterday, it comes from the period of slavery where they had, the darker people working out in the fields and the lighter ones inside. So it's like it's been going on, generation after generation. So we have to break out of that. And it's not just, limited to the black community. Obviously, Latinos too, we see it, the darker the skin and more Native American, features that we have, the more discriminated we are against. The more European looking you are, the more obviously you're going to be casted for TV shows or things like that. But it affects a lot of cultures.
I mean,
absolutely.
Even as kids, we're taught, dark, black is bad, and then white is good. The angels are white, and I've seen little videos like that. They're like, oh no, that's black, that's bad, and that gets
brainwashes
into your mind. And then when you see it in the media, that's what, to circle back to Barbie. That's why I loved it so much. Were they doing it to check a box? Maybe, I don't know. It didn't matter, but.
Landed.
Yes, I was they had every color, every shape,
everybody, everything.
I appreciated that, and I feel like once we see that more and more, because Issa Rae, can we say?
Come on, Issa Rae.
And if you see people, they're like, wow, she's so beautiful. Maybe kids will pick up on that, and
absolutely,
they'll start to love their own skin. And
that's what we want to see, right? I think the most beautiful thing is when people stop saying, "You're beautiful for a dark-skinned girl. You're beautiful for a big girl. You're beautiful." How about I'm just beautiful, right? And finding that beauty in that. And I think that women, I'm so proud of women that we're coming to a space where we really learn how to love ourselves, because we know the closer you are to a Eurocentric view, the more you're valued and you're looked at by getting more money and maybe better placement and a better husband and all these things. But really breaking out of that mode, and I think especially right here in the USA, we have to do a better job of that. Because there are people that are looking at us outside of the country, they're like, oh, I gotta bleach my skin. I have to get like this in order to fit in. And it's a disservice. And like you said, it's all across. When I'm looking from a race and cultural standpoint, it's in all types of the BIPOC community that deals with this very thing. So we have to do better.
All shades are beautiful, and we need to teach our little girls from very young ages that they're beautiful no matter what.
All the boys and girls. They need to teach them all.
Because it affects women a little bit more. That's why I'm we have to teach them there's hope for us, because we're going to be represented. That's why we see all these beautiful shades and all of it.
We're beautiful.
We are.
Teachers want to teach the truth. Teachers want to teach facts. And so they should not then be told by politicians that they should be teaching revisionist history in order to keep their jobs. What is going on?
A new education guidance in Florida will require middle school teachers to tell students that black people benefited from slavery. So Vice President Kamala Harris spoke out while visiting Florida, saying that the state is trying to push a revised version of American history. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis fired back, calling her comments ridiculous and outrageous. Very ironic. DeSantis says that the changes were made not by him, but by scholars who based the new curriculum on facts.
I think what they're doing is I think that they're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life.
Okay, if y'all just give me a moment. If we want to teach kids something, if we want to switch up the education, let's teach them about the 400 years of collective generational trauma that me and people that look like me have to deal with every single day. Let's teach them about how slavery impacted how my grandfather parented my dad and how my dad parented me, and how when I was 10 and I learned about Emmett Till, I was scared to walk through different neighborhoods and look anybody in the eye.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if it happened to him, like, he wasn't a slave.
Right. What was to stop you?
What, I didn't know any better.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, for you to get up there and say that, and, like, to this day, like, white people or just people like in a position of power still walk around with that sense of superiority over us. Like they own us and they look us in the eye and say, oh, you should be grateful. They have the nerve and audacity to say you should be grateful for those 400 years of slavery.
Man, Jamal, I think this is such an extremist thought process, right? And I think Florida is just a launching pad for a national agenda, which frightens me. And I had to say this is one of the most horrific times in our country that we ever witnessed. And to rewrite this and now say that this was done for our good, this was something great about this, is sick. Because now what you're doing, too, is you're disabling children to become great leaders. Leaders know the truth about history.
Absolutely.
And when you know the truth about history, you're able to be empathetic. You're able to really make sure that you handle people differently because you know what they've went through. And now when you disable that by not giving the true context of what happened, it's unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate. So parents, I'm asking you to please do the job and make sure that you're teaching your children the correct history, because this is an absolute disservice and it's sickening.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, well, a reminder, Overland High School in Aurora, Colorado is one of 60 U.S. schools in the nation to start teaching AP Black history. So it focuses on 4 units, including the enslavement of people from Africa up to the Civil Rights Movement and the modern century. So DeSantis banned that College Board course in Florida. Literally such a mess. I think it's so important to like have that in there. I can't wrap my mind. I'm so flustered right now.
Yes.
Are you,
It's like whitewashing history. It really
I didn't
is.
know we would get to
Like we haven't done it enough. Like, let's go back to the 19th century where black people still don't matter. It's sickening. And shout out to Overland. That's my high school, and we always seem to get it right. I'm a product of public schools, and doing it the right way by giving us critical thinking skills to allow us to really come to our own conclusion about what that could have done to people and how much it set people back and their generational wealth and the displacement of black people. And we were enslaved. We weren't slaves, so we came as doctors and lawyers and practitioners and all these beautiful things. So let's not erase that history by saying slavery was this beautiful thing that happened to us.
You let somebody be a blacksmith. I'm like, what if they were a doctor back in Africa?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
That's the thing that bothers me so much. How does he know what they did before? Why are you saying they benefited from this?
Right. As you stripped them of their language, their family, you stole their babies, you raped them.
Lynched
I mean,
them.
what are we saying here?
Also, like, just saying things that aren't true, like the Tulsa massacre. They're saying that they did it against and within each other when it was black people that were getting killed and, you know, their property destroyed. So that alone is a lie. Why would you put that in the curriculum?
Girl, I don't know. And also, just real quick, they stripped them of their right of choice, like their choice, their sense of choice. What if I don't want to be a black chef? What if I'm a cook in the kitchen? You're saying, oh, I gave you now you're a chef.
Right.
What if I don't even like to cook? I don't want to cook.
Yeah.
So going on somewhere else.
Yeah.
Somewhere else with that. I can't.
Florida.
Florida. All
Be
right.
careful, y'all.
Want to go there?
So the lead singer of the band 1975 is once again under fire for his problematic behaviors. So while the group was performing in Malaysia, Matty Healy decided he was going to slam the country's anti-LGBTQ+ laws and kiss his male bandmate on stage. Quickly after that incident, the Malaysia government shut the remainder of the band's set as well as shut down the festival. If you don't know, homosexuality is illegal in the country. After the incident, some social media users called out the singer while some praised him for what he did.
Dislike bigoted government administrations just as much as the next person, but you did nothing to help advance LGBT rights in Malaysia. If anything, you just made things even worse for the community. Not just in Malaysia, not just in Ala Asia, but for the entirety of the non-Western world.
I understand that some concert goers are upset because they didn't get to see their favorite performers perform. The stance Matty Healy took is much bigger than laws. I think it's very important we support Matty Healy and support his support for the LGBTQ plus community.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. One, I'll just go ahead and ask, do y'all agree? I'll go across the board. Did you agree, yes or no, what he did?
No, absolutely not.
No.
The thing that bothers me the most is that he signed an agreement before he went on stage knowing all of this stuff, and he still went on this rant, and I felt like it hurt the community even more.
There's two sides of this for me, right?
Yes.
I feel like when you use your artistry to make any type of stance, fine, do you. That's your artistry, that's your bread and butter, right? That's how you're gonna feed your family. If you're willing to put that at risk, do that. But be aware of the consequences that go with this. This is not his first time doing this. He does publicity stunts like this. This is the way he handles himself. I'm not a fan of it, but if this is how you're gonna use your platform, so be it, and take the consequences that go with that. And
I was conflicted, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, work. We don't like anti-LGBTQ laws here. And the more I thought about it, like the woman said in that soundbite, she was saying, like, you just made it worse there. You get to do your little kiss and then leave. Initially, I was thinking, like, oh, well, that's so great. Like, there are probably queer people, most likely there are queer people in that audience. And they're like, oh, wow, that was great. Like, they got a rush for him if they feel, like, represented. I don't know. But then, like, once he leaves, like, I'm like, he just inflamed things even more. And they're like, oh.
It's just something for the government to use against the community.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And like you mentioned, he has the luxury of just flying out, and these people are going to have to live with the consequences of everything that he stirred up there.
Right.
If he wanted to help, I think he could have reached out to the activist groups that are working there to help the LGBTQ community, or understand the context of what's going on, not just go and do this and fly out.
No. I mean, he's lucky he flew out real quick, because I know people are usually like jailed. Sometimes death is usually involved.
20 years, I think.
20 years prison, yeah.
So he's very lucky he got out of there quickly.
Absolutely.
But we're going to go ahead and move on to another problematic person. So a story that received national attention and was finally giving a spotlight to missing black women in the U.S. turned out to be a hoax. So Carlee Russell, the Alabama woman who went missing earlier this month after seeing a baby walking on the interstate, said she made it all up. Russell's attorney released a statement this week on her behalf saying, in part, my client apologizes for her actions to this community. The investigation is still ongoing, but police are looking into charging Russell. Ooh, I was so mad when I heard the press conference. Me and Jamal were at our computers. We're like, please, 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 just let this be. Let's hope she's telling the truth. And then it was like all her search histories, like the movie Taken and everything else. I was like, why is this happening?
Her research led me to know that I don't know what type of school she went to. That was horrible research.
And nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We are finding missing black women, missing people in general, but especially missing black women, because they go missing frequently, and it doesn't get this national attention. Absolutely. It doesn't get this coverage. So now that I see that they can put those types of resources into finding people, I need to continue to see that.
That's my thing, is I don't want this to discourage us for giving a community empathy that deserves empathy, right? We are more likely to go missing and less likely to get news coverage, less likely to get resources, less likely to even be cared about, talked about on any type of magnitude. And so I was, like you said, I was extremely happy to see what we could do when we all come together. This is a one-off. This is not, and she's not the first person to do this, There's been people that have been on the Eurocentric side that have done this and have not been talked about. And so my thing is, I definitely think she should be charged for this, but I also think she needs to be looked into for her mental state. August is coming up, National Minority Mental Health Month. We need to look into these things, because you don't do things like that when you're well. So let's look at her mental state, but let's not stop putting the effort towards our black communities, because our black women, children, babies, they're not found. They're not cared about, and they don't get this coverage. So I'm excited to see this coverage. But Carlee, you did a really horrible thing, sis, and it impacted the community still.
But we don't know that she had mental health issues, right?
We don't.
We still don't know that. But if she doesn't, and if she did this for attention, she should be charged.
Yeah.
This is not okay. There should be consequences for, getting all this attention and, you know, just being a flat out lie.
Right.
Yeah. She's supposed to be
wrong because you don't do things like that, right? And carry on and make a whole. The moment you get that one little call, like, "Hey, they're looking for you, girl. It's about to get real," is the moment you stop the jokes. If there's not something mentally that is keeping you from making better decisions and choices, she's not a little kid. So I'm you know.
I don't. The thing that bothers me is she could have just ran away. Why did she make up this whole entire lie? That's the thing that bothers me the most.
That's where I'm curious if it was for attention. But
me too. Like, what type?
Attention.
I'm sure we'll continue to learn more.
Yeah, because she hasn't spoken yet, so I'm sure she'll be speaking soon.
That's smart. She might want to be quiet for a little bit longer. Because we don't know what story's going to come out next.
Yes, and changes to Colorado's Medicaid gender-affirming care policy are a big win for the trans community. One Colorado, an LGBTQ advocacy group that has been working with the state to update the policy, says the changes will cut out certain medical steps previously required in order to get access to other resources like mental health counseling before accessing hormones. On the other hand, Children's Hospital of Colorado will no longer provide gender-affirming surgeries, but the advocacy group hopes the policy changes will open doors for others. The changes will go into effect at the end of August.
Okay.
So this is great news for our trans community. 1 in 5 people do have Medicaid, so it's great to see that Colorado's moving in that direction, and you know, hopefully it'll make people have more options. Although, you know, Children's Hospital, like we mentioned, did not offer that anymore. Not that they did for minors, which is what they did.
Just to clarify, because I know a lot of people are like, why is the Children's Hospital like offering that surgery and things like that?
You got to be over 18.
You have to be over 18. So they did not ever do it for anyone that was a minor.
Right.
So let's be very clear about that.
That's absolutely right. And again, Medicaid doesn't have an open enrollment period, so anybody can apply at any time to seek that care. So it's great news for Colorado.
Love it. Well, let's get into some other good news of the week. So, one of the Jacksonville Jaguars coaches just announced that he's gay. Kevin Maxson, who is the assistant strength and conditioning coach, told Outsports that he made the decision to come out because he didn't want to hide his 2-year relationship anymore. He also said he hopes by coming out that he can inspire other people in similar situations. He's the first male American pro sports coach to come out as gay.
And Denver has welcomed its most ethnically diverse councils in city history. 6 Latina lawmakers, 3 incumbents, and 3 new members were sworn in last week, breaking the previous record of 5 set after the 2019 election. The 13-person council also includes Chantel Lewis and Darrell Watson, who became the first 2 openly Black LGBTQ members in the council's history.
And a Black queer-owned design house based in Denver has been selected to debut their line in New York Fashion Week. So House creates size-inclusive, gender-affirming, cruelty-free clothing for all bodies, all people, all the time, and all their materials are locally sourced. So if you'd like to support their brand and help them get to New York, they have a fundraiser going on right now. You can get the information on their website or check out their Instagram.
All right. Now, President Biden honors Emmett Till's legacy on his 82nd birthday, what would have been his 82nd birthday, designating a national monument in his honor. Till was a 14-year-old Black boy that was tragically murdered in 1955 after being falsely accused of whistling at a white woman. His cousin is the last survivor who witnessed Emmett Till's murder, and he gets to be present during this time and witness history. This historic move marks a significant step towards acknowledging and remembering the impact of racial injustice. Congratulations.
Girl, finally.
I
mean, something. And I the fact that it took this long, but you know what? Progress is progress.
Ooh, we're going to take it as we can get it, right?
Absolutely. Because we can't keep... Anyway,
his memory will be alive because his name will be repeated.
Yes.
So I appreciate
and that's the importance. Guess what? We get to see history and learn the true history, because somebody's going to say, well, no, actually the lady said this and that, but this is why we have to know real history. So it's important that we have moments like this so we can know the real history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for joining this week's Culture Report. We'll be back to continue the conversation next Thursday right here on 9 News Plus and 9news.com.